Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Inside Owl Athletics. I'm Matt Holderman.
And I'm Tyler daRosa. Today we'll be taking a look back at some of our favorite Keene State athletic memories during our time here at the athletic department. The two of us will be graduating on May 29th, and it has been a fantastic 4 years here with Inside Owl Athletics.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Tyler. It's been so fun working with you and everyone on Inside Owl Athletics and in the athletic department the past couple of years. So to start this show, I think we can agree that the coolest thing we've been a part of our 4 years here was the 2019 men's basketball team's run to a championship. Let's take a look back at it. So I got to start here, Tyler. The regular season home game we had against Plymouth State, Spalding Gym was always so loud when Plymouth State came to town, wasn't it?
It was. You can kind of see here that the stands were pretty full for this game. It was exciting. We could barely even hear each other talk during this game. It was so loud. And, I mean, Plymouth State, Keene State, best rivalry in New Hampshire because they just go at each other. There was so much jeering between the crowd, like yelling at the Plymouth State players. It was a great game to be a part of. And, of course, there was all that led to the playoff run. And eventually, this right here, the championship game, and probably, Matt, our best call together.
Yeah, I think so. The 2019 Little East Conference Championship, where we beat Eastern Connecticut by just 3 points. Let's take a listen to the winning call right here.
Takes the three. No good. Owls are the LEC. Final seconds. Here we go. 5. Muckle has it. Takes the three. No good. Owls are the LEC champions. Courtney win. And at Spalding Gym, everybody is storming the court. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Matt, that gave me chills just watching that over again. I couldn't believe that. I do want to joke around a little bit because I think you started taking my play-by-play job. I'm the one that's supposed to be saying everything that's happening. You started saying it.
That's your fault for being too quiet on the call right there.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That was a big moment.
That was electric.
But, yeah, for as electric as it was, I think we got it as near perfect as we possibly could have.
I could not agree more.
What a game.
I know. And now, I know I'm speaking for the both of us when I say that we've come a long way since our first time hosting Inside Owl Athletics a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's been over 2 years since our first time, and I know for me personally, I've definitely gotten a lot better. Let's take a look. 3 Owl track athletes have now set qualifying times for postseason meets. They did it over the weekend at meets in Boston. Lauren Prakowski posted the 8th fastest Division III time in the nation for 5,000 meters with a time of 17:19.41. Yeah, Matt, as you can tell, I certainly had a lot to learn there.
Yeah.
Everything watching that makes me cringe nowadays, specifically my high-pitched voice that I kind of sound like a little girl. And I can tell you, too, that it probably took me about 20 takes to get that right, specifically the names. Back then, I could not pronounce names for the life of me. But, hey, here we are. I think, looking at me now, I think I got a little bit better.
Only a little, though. Don't give yourself too much credit. No, I'm kidding. But for real, I think we've, you're right. I was the same way our very first episode. Not to mention, I looked like an absolute child a few years back. Men's basketball is making a run at the top seed in the LEC tournament. We're talking to women's lacrosse about expectations for the upcoming season. And Tyler daRosa will show us how Owl athletes are giving back to the community. Those stories and more are next on Inside Owl Athletics. Hey, look at that. I gave you a shout out there. That was awesome. But yeah, it's amazing how far we've come from our first episodes. I can't believe I'm sitting here now saying and knowing that was only 2 years ago. It's unbelievable. It feels like a century, really.
It does.
But moving on to our next segment, though, a big part of Inside Owl Athletics is getting to make special stories about special people or events, and we've each done a few pretty cool ones, haven't we?
Yes, we have. I've personally been really fortunate during my time here to do some stories about some really amazing athletes. One of my favorite stories I've done, though, was on Jeff Hunter. This story right here was great to do because Jeff was just such a good player and plays his heart out. it was fun doing a story on someone who made such a big leap from his freshman year to now, and talking about what went into it. His teammates and coaches always raved about how great it was, how great of a teammate and player that he was, and it was just so great talking to him and talking to his coach here, Ryan Kane, and everybody that I did an interview with. Now, that was definitely one of my favorite stories, but on an athlete, my favorite story I've done ever was probably on the Headstrong Challenge.
Yes.
This story right here was about the fundraiser the athletic department did for D3 week this year. The fundraiser saw athletic departments from every school in the LEC participate in a virtual marathon that helped raise money for families affected by cancer. So the proceeds benefited the Headstrong Foundation, which was fantastic. And it was just such a great package to work on, because of the fact that I knew that it was so meaningful and that it was going to gain awareness for this challenge. So it was just fantastic to talk about, and it was a fantastic story to do.
Right. I certainly enjoyed watching both of those stories when they came out earlier this year. And, for me too, the past few years, I've had the privilege of making stories on numerous student athletes from all sports here at Keene State, too many to name in the time that we have. But if I had to pick a few favorites, I think it would be these two. So just a few months ago, I had the chance to work with Emma Peaty, a softball player and architect major, and we went all over the place for footage. Even more, she actually talked to her professors for me so that I could get into the classroom and get footage of her working on a project. This turned out to be the best story I've ever made for the show, I think, and Emma deserves a lot of credit for that, don't get me wrong. She was super easy and fun to work with, so thanks, Emma, for making this story as good as it was. And now probably one of the more meaningful stories that I've made was on men's basketball junior Jarek Sean. We originally chose to do this story on Jarek because of how much he'd improved from freshman to sophomore year. And he actually opened up to me about how hard freshman year was for him, dealing with depression, not playing a lot of minutes, which is something a lot of people wouldn't do or say to a reporter they just met. So I was blown away by how much it meant to Jarek that I was making the story on him. So this one has got to be a personal favorite of mine. Thanks, Jarek, for being so awesome, so easy to work with.
Yeah. And along with these video stories, one thing I'll remember more than anything personally was my first broadcast.
Right.
Tyler, Keene State is coming out fresh of their 5-0 win against Southern Maine. They had a 3-game away trip the last week or so. They lost to Trinity 3-0. They beat Bridgewater 5-2. Southern Maine, they beat 5-0. What are your overall feeling on this offense and how they're just getting better and better?
I think right now they're really definitely starting to click. It's great to see them starting to round into form towards the end of the season, so it'll be good going into the postseason. And as we were saying, Keene's been doing great lately. They're 5-1 in the past 6 games.
I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to do broadcasting as a freshman, and it was a dream come true for me personally. I got to be the color commentary for one of the best teams here at Keene State, and the field hockey team. Over the years, I was able to see one of the best players in the program's history, Nina Bruno, come close to breaking many records. Yep. And I was also lucky enough to see 2 of their LEC championship victories and also commentate on a home NCAA tournament game with you.
That's
and
right.
I was just so fortunate to be able to do commentary for this team. And another memory, here's a good one, Matt, I'll never forget, was my first basketball game.
Oh, boy.
I was lucky enough to see the majority of the home games for both basketball teams during my time here. And this game against LaSalle was actually my first time doing color commentary for the basketball game. And coincidentally, Matt, it was also our first time doing broadcast together. You were the sideline reporter. Let's watch us do a little bit of this together.
Just had right before him, Miguel Prieto against.
And Matt, who are you looking at so far in this game to lead each team? Who do you think the teams have to look out for?
Well, for our Keene State College Owls, I'll be looking at our top scorer thus far this season. That's Ty Nichols. Now, Ty had a big game 10 days ago out in SUNY Plattsburgh. He scored his 1,000th career point.
As we talked about earlier, Matt, both teams had very memorable moments, including
Yes.
the LEC Championship and, of course, watching Ty Nichols.
Yeah.
These moments were easily some of the greatest times at Keene State for me personally, and I can tell we certainly grew from that point. I still have trouble finding my words, but hey, it is what it is. But,
is, yeah.
Matt, what are some of your favorite broadcasts?
Yeah, so I've had the privilege of being able to broadcast almost every sport here at Keene State the last 4 years, and I've been lucky enough to be on the call for some of the biggest moments in Keene State history, I think. The first one was way back in early 2019, my sophomore year, when Heen Tatch of the women's basketball team hit a buzzer beater. It was their first win in months, and they got it in the coolest of ways, and it caused me to go ballistic on the air. So let's listen right here.
Michelle Rowe was wide open. I believe her shot got blocked, but she'll get the second chance points.
We need the SOT.
And Michelle Rowe really solid for the Huskies. Tatch gets the rebound. 5 seconds to go. A big shot here from half court. We'll see from the 3-point line. Tatch throws it up. It's good. It's good. Keene State wins it. 68-65. Tatch makes the shot.
Man, so there's that.
Yep.
And now a more recent basketball broadcasting memory was the play of the year, I think, this year for the men's basketball team. Jarek Seashon lobbed up the ball for first-year player Jordan Santos
And
for
alley-oop.
There it is.
that. Yep.
Santos.
Rare alley-oop.
Oh my goodness. He is pumped the heck up.
So
That
yeah, that
was
right there.
phenomenal.
What I was trying to say on the air was he's pumped the heck up. I sort of slurred my words a little bit in the moment, got caught up in it, and the call kind of became a meme for the next couple of weeks. Make fun of me for it. Our very own Abe Oshiak actually even said it himself on a baseball game broadcast a few weeks later.
DeFrancisco with his second stand-up double of the game. And he is pumped the heck up over there with his second hit of the ball game.
Thanks for paying homage, Abe. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was good.
But another game we have to throw it back to, Tyler, is our last broadcast that we did together a few months ago.
Yeah, that was a very special game. We were lucky enough to have called one last women's game together earlier this year. It was a single game against Norwich University. The thing that made this game so special was, along with being our last game together, that this game was dedicated to assistant coach Rob Bennett. Mm-hmm. And Keene State was able to come away with the win in this game. And it was very nice because they won the game against Rob's niece. Rob's niece.
That's
and
right.
that was certainly an emotional game for multiple reasons. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it meant so much, the game itself. Of course, for Coach Bennett, but also being able to do one last broadcast with you, it was meaningful to each of us, I know, for plenty of different reasons.
Yeah, it was great. And one last time, we just want to say Bennett strong.
Bennett strong. Yeah, and now, before we end up here, finish up the show, I think we have a few people we have to thank,
of course,
before we go. Good transition here. I'd like to start by thanking Coach Boucher of the women's basketball team. We got the chance to talk after a lot of games this year. The women's team just had an excellent season, made it to the championship, and I enjoyed interviewing Coach after every game. You could tell every win this season meant a ton to him, and I appreciate him being willing to talk all the time. Mm-hmm. And I also have to thank Coach Bob Weiner of the volleyball team. I broadcasted a lot of volleyball games over the past 3 years, and Coach Weiner was actually my very first interview as a freshman for our school paper. I was nervous as heck, but he made me feel super comfortable and easy right away. He's treated me the same since day one. I appreciate the heck out of you for that, Coach. And Coach Paige Mills as well. I did a little stand-up where I tried demonstrating how to shoot a shot put ball, and she had to let me into the throwing room for that to get that footage. It took me a bunch of takes, again, like 20 of them, like on your first IOA. I messed up a bunch, and she stayed in there with me the whole time, just watching them, motivating me, like, you got this. And I mean, that was, I won't forget that ever. Thank you, Coach Mills, for that.
Yeah, and I just want to say a couple thanks as well. Coach Amy Watson of the field hockey team. She was always fantastic to me because I did those broadcasts for a few years. She was always willing after the game to do an interview, whatnot. She was always willing to talk. She was a great coach to talk to. She always gave a good interview, so I want to say thank you to her. I also want to say thank you to men's soccer coach Rick Scott, because he was another one of those coaches that I interviewed him so many times. Anytime I saw him around campus, always stop and talk with him. And he'd always be willing to interview anytime, especially here and there when I'd have an audio issue or whatnot. And I'd be like, hey, can I re-interview you? He'd be like, yeah, no problem. Come on by. It was always great talking to him. And also the women's soccer coach, Denise Lyons. She was always great. I would cover their team, their games a few times. And every time after the game, they would always... I would always go down, and she would always be willing to do an interview as well.
As much as she hated interviewing.
Exactly, as much as she hated doing an interview. But
right.
I do want to transition that to congratulating her on a fantastic career as well, because she is retiring along with the baseball coach.
Ken Howe, yes. Congrats to both of you guys on a fantastic career here at Keene State, both 30-plus years of dedication to the department. So got to congratulate them on a great career. And together, there's a few more people we have to thank.
Yes.
I got to start it out with Phil Rassicott, our athletic director. He's only been here for a couple years, but man, he has always just been willing to help us as well.
Yeah.
I mean, with every interview, whether it's been for the show here, for the school paper, for me, whatever it's been, he's always been there.
Yep.
And
he was another one of those people that was always willing to talk and always willing to do an interview. And
Yeah.
we also want to thank a couple more people. We want to thank the assistant athletic director, Abe Oshiak. He was there for us since we were freshmen. He got us into doing this, and we wouldn't be where we are without him, for sure.
yeah, no, I mean, certainly not. And Coach Kane, too.
Yeah,
Almost
Coach Kane
forgot.
as well.
I mean,
yeah.
what can we say about Coach Kane, too? All the post-game interviews, always being willing to talk. That's the thing. All these coaches are always so willing to talk. Love them all here at Keene State. And the final two are professors, Dr. Chad and I, Dr. Mark Timney, the guys that make this show happen week in and week out, along with all of us students. So I think we can agree we wouldn't be where we're at today in the position we're at without them, man.
Yeah, we would not be where we are without any of those people, specifically Abe, Dr. Nine, Dr. Timney. They have helped us out so much along this way and helped us grow not only as journalists but also as people. So we want to thank all of you guys so much. But let's wrap it up here, Matt.
Yeah, you know what? One last time, everyone. Thanks for watching Inside Owl Athletics. I'm Matt Holderman.
And I'm Tyler daRosa. Thank you all so much for a great 4 years here, and best of luck to everyone in the fall. Have a great day.